I look at storytelling as, ultimately bringing kind of the brand narrative into our relationship with consumers. So at the end of the day, storytelling, I really look at as creativity. And I think if you look at any new medium as it comes into existence, the work tends to be quite rudimentary to begin with. It's a very blunt instrument to begin with. So in early television, they would interrupt television programs and say, this is brought to you by dish soap, and that would actually be in the program by the actors, in the shows. Then television commercials became more interesting. They became pods, within programs, and they were relatively blunt even in that expression, but it evolved. And then next came kind of the creative revolution, I think, which Bernbeck, was at the heart of, and they started making the ideas even more creative. And I think what you seem to find is that as technology evolves, as mediums evolve, storytelling becomes critical because people stop finding the new innovation interesting. So once the new innovation becomes commonplace, creativity is the only way to break out of that commonplace. So you can use technology to be breakthrough, but it has a short shelf life because it becomes, by definition, mainstream, if it catches on. And then storytelling becomes the only differentiator. So I think what we're seeing right now is we're seeing a lot of that, come back into style because the technology and the rate at which technology is evolving has become almost commonplace. So while the new opportunities are really interesting, brands are having a harder time sustaining and building long-lasting value from just chasing technologies. They're finding it from their story. What is their story? What's their role in the world? Why do they exist? How are they going to make the world better for their consumers? And I think people are looking for those stories again versus, just kind of trendy tech innovations. I think we're seeing a renaissance in, video or film or moving pictures, whatever we want to call it, because they're kind of the quickest to process, and in a way they're the most shareable. So, even look at the kind of the beginning of YouTube, right? Like, that helped redefine content on the internet because it was such a shareable form. It was such a hub to go to discover stuff that, before the invention of the internet, lived on the, funniest home videos and such. You couldn't access that type of content before, and now you could. So I think video is having a renaissance because of that. I think the storytelling, the length of the storytelling, I think it's always as good as it is, as long as it is good. I always kind of say that to teams. I say, let's not make stuff long to just make stuff long. Let's make stuff long if it's in better service of the idea. And I think all the different ways to tell stories now online allow for more flexibility, and so there's more creativity in how you tell those stories. Are you going to tell 50 6-second stories? Are you going to tell one 20-minute story? Are you going to do incredible programming? All of those are opportunities now that we have to play with that we didn't really have to play with before. I rarely walk into Cannes with too much expectation because I think I've always found that the most value I get out of it is the surprise in seeing the great thinking. And I think every year great thinking has surprised us in different ways. I think sometimes it's technology. This year there's a bronze statue down in Wall Street that's getting a lot of attention. And I love that we can go from the most innovative year of VR. That was I think very much last year to an ad that could have literally been done 2,000 years ago. And I think that's the beauty of creativity, is that it will never cease to surprise you. So to walk in with expectation is kind of against, I think, everything that the festival stands for. We're there. We go there to be surprised. We go there to come back with an insane amount of jealousy for what our friends, at other places have done, because that's what drives us, and that's what drives creativity in general. Is that kind of beauty for what's out there and what's possible, and how are we going to surprise each other next?
What's exciting for you about advertising now?
Well, I think the pace at which it's changing is really exciting. This job, it used to be different every 2 or 3 years. I think now it's that rate of difference is accelerating, which for someone with tremendous ADD is fantastic, because there's always new things to kind of catch your attention and go, are there more interesting ways I can be telling stories, and really digging into those different platforms. I think brand utility is a really interesting area that will be explored more in the years to come. I think the entertainment value of narratives is really important, but I think equally important, as we really compete for eyeballs, is going to be the value we bring to our interactions with consumers. And I think that doesn't mean that it will be just tech-driven. I mean, it will be actual narrative-driven, actual purpose-driven, and brands will have to play a stronger role in really serving their purpose to the world. And I think that will make brands stronger, and it'll make their relationships with the consumers equally stronger. So a lot of interesting stuff to come there, I think.